Yes, ma'am. Can you start?
Morning, students. Today we are going to see Unit 2. Already we have seen the poem's explanation and its meaning, and about author George Herbert we have seen already in the last session. Unit 2.4, The Pulley, poem written by George Herbert. Now we are going to see poetic devices of that poem. Poetic devices. Poetic devices are form of literary device used in poetry. It is a literary device. Poetic devices are literary devices which are used in poetry. Poems are created out of poetic device composed of structural, grammatical, rhythmic, metrical, verbal, and visual elements. Okay. Here, poetic devices. They are essential tools that a poet uses to create rhythm, enhance poems' meaning, or intensify a mood or feeling. So these poetic devices are used to create a rhyme, rhythm, enhance poem's meaning, or intensify a mood or feeling of that poem. Poet uses these devices to make the language of the poem attractive and to make the poem a mood maker. Okay, these devices are used to attract the reader and to make the poem effective. So these devices are used in the poem by poet. Today we are going to see all these poetic devices. First one is symbolism, second paradox, third pun, fourth inversion, fifth metaphor, sixth antithesis, seventh allusion, and eighth synecdoche, and ninth alliteration. Now symbolism. Symbolism, to represent ideas or qualities, we use symbols. Okay, if we have to pass some idea or we have to express some qualities, we use symbols. We use traffic symbols, then we use certain signs to express some idea. Okay, likewise symbolism can be defined as the practice or art of using an object or a word to represent an abstract idea. To express an abstract idea means we cannot see that, only we can feel that thing, but we cannot see or we cannot touch. So those ideas can be expressed using symbolism. An action, person, place, word, or object can have symbolic meanings. Example, rainbow symbolizes hope and promise. Green traffic light symbolizes go or proceed. Okay, these are the examples of symbolism. Symbolism. The pulley is a simple machine which is useful for lifting heavy loads. It is a device which enables a person to pull and control the rope or chain at the end of which is the load to be lifted. We already know what is pulley. But in the poem, it symbolizes restlessness. Okay. We already know the pulley is a device, mechanical device, which is used to lift heavy loads, and we can control the load using chain or the rope. But here in the poem, the pulley represents God's loving nature by which he draws mankind close to his bosom where man can find rest. Okay, here the pulley symbolizes the restlessness. Next is paradox. Paradox, a situation or statement that seems impossible or difficult to understand because it contains two opposite facts or characteristics. Okay, paradox means it seems, means it looks impossible or difficult to understand because it has two opposite facts or characteristics. We have to understand, okay, the concept. See here, example, my weakness is my strength. So there are two opposite ideas, weakness and strength. And my, what is the weakness? Weakness is my strength. And then here, in order to lead, you must follow. That is another example. Means to lead a group, you have to follow the leader first. Okay, your leader first. Then you can be a leader in the future. So in order to lead, you must follow someone. In this poem, it is paradoxical that God, the giver of blessings, refuses to give man the most precious gift of rest. Okay, paradox can be found in the line, rest in the bottom lay. Rest in the most precious gift is at the bottom of the glass and not at the top of the glass. So that is the paradox here. Means the rest should be the first thing, but it is at last, it is at the bottom of the glass. So the most precious gift is sorry for the interruption. Here, the most precious gift is at the bottom of the glass and not at the top of the glass. So that is the paradox in this line. Next, pun. The pun is a form of wordplay that exploits multiple meaning of a term. A single term, it has multiple meaning or of similar sounding words for an intended humorous or rhetorical effect. We use pun for rhetorical effect and to show humor. We use pun or the similar sounding words. Okay, example, fish are smart because they live in a school. Means they live in a group. She had a photographic memory, but she didn't develop it. These are the examples of pun. See, a girl is having a photographic memory, means whatever she sees, it registers in her mind. Okay, she can remember whenever she wants. So that is photographic memory, but she cannot develop it. Okay. Pun. In the poem, George Herbert plays upon the word rest. Okay, he has played with the words, played with the word rest. Rest is used 3 times to mean different things. He has used the word rest 3 times in his poem. Okay, perceiving that alone of all his treasures rest in the bottom lay. Here rest means here satisfaction, peace of mind, and rest means here completely satisfied and peace of mind. Here in this line, rest means here satisfaction and peace of mind. He would adorn my gifts instead of me and rest in nature, not the God of nature. Here rest means enjoy. He will enjoy the nature, but not the, he will not remember about the God of nature. Okay. Third, let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Here rest means remaining gifts. Whatever the God pour on mankind, first what he poured, first he poured strength, then he poured beauty, then wisdom, then honor, pleasure. So all these things he gave, but he made a stay while giving rest. Here rest means remaining gifts. Let him keep the remaining gifts which I have gave him already, but I will not give the rest. Okay. Next is inversion. Inversion is a term used to refer to the inverting of the normal word order in a sentence or phrase. Inverting means the writing order. The last thing is written in the first place and the first thing is written in the last place. Okay, that is inversion. Second point, writers will use inversion to maintain a particular meter or rhyme scheme in poetry, or to emphasize a specific word in prose. To emphasize, to give importance to a specific concept, they use inversion, or to make the poetry rhythmatic, they use inversion. Example, it is syntactically correct to say, yesterday I saw a ship. Syntactically means the word order is right. If you say, yes, yesterday I saw a ship. An inversion of this sentence could be, yesterday a ship I saw. That is the inversion. Means the right correct sentence is, yesterday I saw a ship. But in inversion, we can say, yesterday a ship I saw. Okay. In the poem, we can see so many lines which has inversions. Here you can see the lines. Let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Okay. Let us, said he. Said he is the inversion here. He said, let us pour. Okay. Like that, we have to, poet has to write. But here he has changed the order. Second line, let's the verse riches which disperse lie. Which lie disperses the right thing, but he has interchanged the words. Rest in the bottom lake. For if I should said it, so both should be, sorry, so both should losers be. If goodness lead him not at weariness. These all lines has inversion. Okay. Why he has used inversion? To create the poet more rhythmic. Next, metaphor. Metaphor. A metaphor is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike but do have something in common. There are two things, they are completely different, but they have one thing in common. Okay, a word or phrase literally denoting one kind of object or idea is used in place of another to suggest a likeness. Okay, life is a dream. That is the example, and time is a thief, because time always will not wait for anyone. It always flies. Okay, so time is a thief. If we couldn't do anything within the time, we say time is thief. It runs very fast. Okay, so these are the examples of metaphor. Now here in this poem, metaphor is having a glass of blessings standing by. Okay, this is the metaphor. Then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. Rest in the bottom lay. This is the metaphor. And let the verse riches, which disperse light. Bestow this jewel also on my creature. Bestow this jewel. Actually, it is not jewel, but the jewel means here precious, valuable thing. Contentment. And he would adore my gifts instead of me. My gifts means here the blessings which God gave when he made man. When he first made man. So these are the examples of metaphor. The blue words, you can see the blue words are metaphors here. Next is antithesis. Antithesis means a contrast or opposite idea. Okay. Second point, as a rhetorical device, it is used as rhetorical device. Antithesis pairs exact opposite or contrasting ideas in a parallel grammatical structure. The effect of antithesis can be powerful. Why the poet is used antithesis? To create the poem more effective, powerful. Example, slavery is the antithesis of freedom. Means slavery is completely opposite of freedom. Man proposes, God disposes. It is also opposite. See, mankind wants something from the God, but God doesn't give those wishes. Okay, he doesn't make those wishes come true. So he disposes the idea of man. Mankind thinks one about something will happen in their they predict something, but actually it happens. The other thing happens. Okay, in this poem, antithesis is let him be rich and weary. Okay, there are two contrast ideas: rich and weary. Rich means here he will enjoy everything, but he will be tired. He will not feel uh, rest. He will be tired. This line shows two opposite ideas. So this is the antithesis in this poem. Next one is allusion. Allusion is an implied or indirect reference to a person, event, or thing, or a part of another text. It shows indirect and implied meaning, reference to a person, event, or thing, or a part of another text. Most allusions are based on assumption. It is on assumption. It is not. We can assume the things, but we cannot say sent person. It is exactly. We cannot say. It is all about assumption. It is to the audience to make the direct connection. It is up to the audience. We have to make the direct connection. Directly, it will not given in the lines or in the explanation. We have to make connection what the poet is uh, exactly want to say. Example, chocolate is my Achilles heel. Okay, Achilles, you may know the Greek hero. He has a weakness in his heel. The allusion here is Achilles heel, means weakness. Achilles heel means here weakness. In this case, the speaker's weakness is chocolate cake. Means in the above sentence, chocolate is my Achilles heel, means here chocolate is my weakness. An allusion in this poem is, in the poem, the beginning is an allusion, the creation story about the existence of mankind. Okay, you may have learned in science that uh, uh, the origin of human beings, first they came from a monkey. Humans evolved from monkey. Okay, some people may say the God made human beings. The God created human beings. Okay, so it is not. It is an assumption. Both the things are assumption. Okay, we cannot come to a conclusion. So the creation story is an allusion. Next, synecdoche. In synecdoche, most often a part of something is used to refer to its whole. Okay, example, the use of 20 eyes watched our every move. This is an example to mean that 10 people were watching. 20 eyes means 10 people. 10 people were watching. Okay, every move. Here in this poem, synecdoche is may toss him to my breast. Him means here all mankind, human beings. Him means here human beings. Let them come to my breast. Let them come to me. As an example of synecdoche from the poem Puli. Next one is alliteration. In alliteration, words that begin with same sound are placed close together. Okay, same sound. The words which has same sound and same letters are placed close together, written close together. Although alliteration often involves repetition of letters, most importantly, it is a repetition of sounds. It is most importantly, it is a repetition of sound. Letters repeated in alliteration, and the sound is also repeated. Example, sheep should sleep in a shed. You can see S in every word. Okay, sheep S and should S, and then sleep, the first letter is S, and shed, the first letter is S. Okay, so all these letters are alliteration. Then Sally sells seashells at the seashore. Okay, you can here also you can see the first letter S everywhere in the sentence. So these are the examples of alliteration. Here in this poem, we can see alliteration in the following lines. When God at first made man, M. Let the world's riches which disperse lie. W, the letter repeated here twice. W. So strength first made a way. So S and strength S. The letter repeated here. And rest in nature and not the God of nature. The word itself is repeated here. Nature. But keep them with repenting restlessness. R is the letter which repeated in the same sentence. Okay, same line. Okay, let's see. We have seen literary devices, which is figure of speech. Again, we are going to see the question answers, textbook question answers. Already we have seen workshop, we have done warming up. Workshop, we have dealt with question 1 and 2. So now third question. Okay. Discuss and answer in your own words and write in your notebook. Okay. Question is, the poet has used the word rest thrice in the poem. Write what the word implies in each of the 3 lines it occurs. Okay, rest in nature. Give importance to enjoy the benefits of. Okay, and in the next stanza, rest means let him keep the rest, the remaining gifts, except the gift of rest. Okay, rest means here contentment and satisfaction. And another, okay, next question. What does God want in return from man for the gift he has bestowed upon him? Answer is, in return for the gifts he has bestowed on man, God wants him to lead a life of goodness and to keep on adoring God who has been so generous to him. Now see, why did God withhold the gift of rest from man? God withheld the gift of rest from man because of special nature that the gift of rest has. Rest makes us feel satisfied and contented. When we have rest, we do not desire anything more. We might even stop wanting to know more about God, our creator, as well as seeking his blessings. Okay. If he gives as rest, contentment, happiness, and uh, we will not remember about God. So he withhold that gift. D. Besides those given in the poem, the other gifts has blessed mankind with above his other creations. Enlist them. Besides those given in the extract, God has blessed mankind with an abundance of creations of nature, such as tree, the birds and animals, the fruits and the flowers. Okay, whatever we see around us, it is a gift from God. The plants, the trees, birds, everything. E, question E, what does man generally turn to God? When does man generally turn to God? Give an example to support your response. Okay. Answer: man generally turns to God when he is troubled or is facing some difficulty. I remember a neighbor of mine who proposed to be an atheist, but there was a stock market crash where we all surprised to see him at our temple with hands joined and eyes closed and praying to God. Here you can write your own opinion or own personal response. Okay. You can write another example instead of this one. You can write your own example. Now question 4A, discuss with your group and justify the title of the poem, The Pulley, in your own words. Answer: the pulley works the pulley works only when it is pulled by someone's hand. The poet has given the poem the title The Pulley to express the idea that only when repelling restlessness keeps man discontented despite his abundance of riches and graces, will he be drawn towards God, just as a pulley draws something from a lower position to a higher position. In the same way, man's thoughts will be lifted towards God, his creator. This is the answer. Question 4B, pick out 3 lines that contain monologues of God. Monologues, we have seen that day. Monologues means the inner voice. When you speak to yourself, that is monologue. Now here the monologue of God. Okay, answer is first one. For if I should bestow this jewel also on my creature. Second, he would adore my gifts instead of me. Third, if goodness lead him not, at weariness may toss him to my breast. These lines are monologues. Monologues means the God speaks to himself. That is an imagination that God speaks to himself, that these lines. Okay. Fifth question A. Pick out 2 lines that contain the following figures of speech: antithesis, alliteration, inversion. Okay, antithesis here. Let the world reaches which disperse life contract into a span. That is antithesis. Then inversion. Let us steady rest in the bottom lip. And here the words are not in the correct prose order. In inversion, the correct prose orders are let us steady rest in the bottom. Rest lay in the bottom. Okay, that is the correct order. And alliteration, repelling restlessness. That is the alliteration here. Okay, fifth question B. Explain the figures of speech in the following lines. Rest in the bottom lay, pun, because it is a pun because the word rest has 2 meanings. The last one remaining, and a quality that helps us to stop doing something and to relax. Bestow this jewel on my creator, metaphor, because the gift of rest is implicity and compared to a jewel. The gift is compared to a jewel, so it is metaphor. And rest in nature, not the God of nature. Repetition, because the word nature is repeated for emphasis. To give importance, the word nature is repeated. twice. Write critical appreciation of the poem in a paragraph format. Refer to, sorry, we have already seen appreciation of that poem. Here it is in point format, but as it is, you can add more sentence and you can write appreciation of the poem in point format. Sorry, in paragraph format. Here it is asked paragraph format. So you can write in sentence the answer. Appreciation of the poem. Title of the poem, The Puli. You can write the title of the poem is Puli. And the poet is George Herbert. Author of this poem is George Herbert. The central idea and theme of this poem is the reason why man is continually restless. And rhyme scheme of the poem is ABABA. And the figure of speech is metaphor. You can write alliteration, you can write allusion, antithesis, pun, inversion. You can write more figure of speech here. Then special feature, explaining human nature rich in imagery of human qualities. Favorite lines, you can write more than one favorite line. Let him be rich and weary. You can write more lines there. And next is why I don't like or why I like or why I don't like the poem. Okay, you have to write why I like the poem because it teaches me not to be self-satisfied and contented, but to always remember and thank God for all the blessings He has bestowed on me. Okay. Here it is in for point format. You can write in paragraph format, adding some more words. Here, fun can be defined as a play. 7th question. Fun can be defined as a play, as play on words based on their different meanings. Example, writing with a broken pencil is pointless. So here example is given. In this poem, there is an example of fun. Find and make a sentence of your own. Share a joke with class where the use of fun creates humor. Okay, you can write more words related to the figure of speech pun. Okay, that is a group activity, but you can write on your own in your notebook. You can write the pun. Here question 8, write a paragraph on the points in each block given below to get a summary on each of the 4 stanzas of the poem. See in the first box, God created best creations, offered blessings, gifts. You have to use these points and you have again, God gifted man beauty, wisdom, honor, etc. Did not give rest. So you can write why he didn't give us rest. So he wanted us to remember him always. So he didn't give rest. You can write a paragraph using these points. And third, man, if happy, contented, forgets God, instead worships gifts. Okay, man will think, if man is happy and contented, he will not think about God and he will only adore his gifts. Okay. So you can write a paragraph using these points. And herefore, man needs to be reminded of the giver. God made his life discontented. So man is lifted with a pulley towards him. If man forgets to worship God, God made him very tired to attract himself, to attract the human being towards him. So he kept them weary. So he didn't give the blessing rest. Okay, you have to use the given points here in the and you have to complete the lines. Okay, let's revise what we have seen today. We have seen poetic devices, and the poetic devices are a form of literary device used in poetry. They are essential tools that a poet uses to create rhythm and enhance a poem's meaning or intensify a mood or feeling. Poet uses this device to make language of the poem attractive and to make the poem a mood maker. Poetic devices uh, related to this poem. There are too many poetic devices. There are too many figure of speech, but we have seen uh, the figure of speech related to this poem. Symbolism, paradox, pun, inversion, metaphor, antithesis, allusion, synecdoche, alliteration. These are the figures of speech used in the poem, The Pulley. Symbolism. To represent ideas or qualities, we use symbols. Symbolism can be defined as the practice or art of using an object or a word to represent an abstract idea. Abstract idea means we cannot see, we cannot touch it, but we can feel. So for those abstract ideas, to explain those abstract ideas, we use symbols. The pulley, sorry. In the poem, the pulley represents God's loving nature by which he draws mankind close to his bosom where man can find rest. Paradox, a situation or statement that seems impossible or difficult to understand because it contains two opposite facts or characteristics. In this poem, it is paradoxical that God, the giver of blessings, refuses to give man the most precious gift of rest. Paradox can be found in the line, rest in the bottom lay. The most precious gift is at the bottom of the glass and not at the top of the glass. Pun. The pun is a form of wordplay that exploits multiple meaning of a term or of similar sounding words for an intended humorous or rhetorical effect. In the poem, George Herbert plays upon the word rest. Rest is used 3 times to mean different things. The perceiving that alone of all, perceiving that alone of all his treasures rest in the bottom lip. Okay, rest means here satisfaction, peace of mind, contentment. He would adore my gifts instead of me and rest in nature, not the God of nature. Rest in nature means he will enjoy the benefits. He will enjoy the gifts that God poured on him when he made man first. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repenting restlessness. Rest means here remaining gifts. Inversion. An inversion is a term used to refer to the inverting of the normal word order in a sentence or phrase. Writers will use inversion to maintain a particular meter or rhyme scheme in poetry or to emphasize a specific word in prose. Here in this poem, let us study for on him all we can. Means he said, let us, he said. And let the world's riches which disperse like rest in the bottomly. For if I should, said he. So both should be, so both should losers be. If goodness lead him not at weariness. These are the examples of inversion. Metaphor. A metaphor is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike but do have something in common. A word or phrase literally denoting one kind of object or idea is used in place of another to suggest a likeliness. In this poem, metaphor is having a glass of blessing standing by. The beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure, rest in the bottom lay. The world's riches which disperse life. Bestow this jewel also on my creator. He would adore my gifts instead of me. Next is antithesis. Antithesis means a contrast or opposite idea. As a rhetorical device, antithesis pairs exact opposite or contrasting ideas in a parallel grammatical structure. The effect of antithesis can be powerful. In this poem, let him be rich and weary. This line shows two opposite ideas. Allusion. Allusion is an implied or indifferent reference to a person, event, or thing, or a part of another text. Most allusions are based on the assumption. It is to the audience to make the direct connection. We have to make the direct connection. In this poem, the beginning is an allusion, the creation story about the existence of mankind. Okay, the creation story, it is an assumption. It is not true. So here allusion is used in the beginning. Next, synecdoche. In synecdoche, most often a part of something is used to refer its whole. Here in this poem, may toss him to my breast is an example of synecdoche. Synecdoche from the poem Pulley. Okay, alliteration. In alliteration, words that begin with the same sound are placed close together. Although alliteration often involves repetition of letters, most importantly, it is a repetition of sounds. In this poem, we can see alliteration in the following lines. When God at first made man. Letters repeated here. Let the world's riches which disperse lie, so strength first made a way, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. But keep them with repenting restlessness. Here in the fourth point here, and rest in nature, the whole word is repeated here. And in every line we can see the first letter of the first letter of the words are repeated. So these are the examples of alliteration. If there is any doubt, you can ask your doubts. Students, if you have doubt, you can ask your doubts. Today we have seen literary devices, poetic devices, figure of speech, which are related to this poem, the Pulley, and we have seen book back question answer. If there is any doubt, you can ask your doubts.
हेलो
Huh?
मिस गुड मॉर्निंग
Good morning.
मिस मेटाफोर एक बार फिर से समझाओ ना मिस नहीं समझा
Which one?
मेटाफोर मेटाफोर
Metaphor here.
हाँ मिस
See, here is a line. Bestow in the third stanza. Here is a line. Bestow this jewel also on my creature. Jewel means here actually it is not jewel. Literally, it is not jewel. Jewel means here precious, valuable thing. Metaphor क्या है? एक idea रहता है उसको means word दिया है jewel, लेकिन वो
हाँ, miss.
गहना नहीं है. गहना नहीं है, गहने के बदले में यहाँ प्रीशियस गिफ्ट ऐसा कहा है पोएट ने.
ठीक है मिस, थैंक यू.
Actually, it is not a jewel. He didn't pour on us jewel. He didn't gave us jewelry. He gave precious gifts, and that is mentioned here as jewel.
ओके मिस,
Okay.
थैंक यू.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Jayashree miss.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Wali Ahmed. Unmute yourself, beta.
Wali Ahmad Khan, 10th B, you can unmute yourself.
गुड मॉर्निंग टीचर.
Good morning.
टीचर नोटबुक में कौन सी पोयम है?
हाँ?
टेक्स्ट बुक में.
The Puli poem.
द फुली पोयम ना?
Puli.
पुली.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, miss. Jayashree miss. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.